when you get into your 40s, you really start digging into trauma. I feel like I have, my sister is there. She's like right around the corner. I feel like you start really questioning, where's the root of that? Like, did somebody tell me that? And now I feel like I have to believe that. Did somebody tell me that menopause or that perimenopause or that, did somebody tell me that? And did I hold on to that and like store it in my subconscious mind? And now it's just sitting there, waiting, like it's like festering and like I'm believing it because not everything that people say is true, and not everything is meant for you to absorb.
Longevity isn't luck, folks. It's a lifestyle built on awareness, habits, culture, and intention. Welcome back to Age with Intention podcast, where we explore how people around the world live longer, stronger, think clear, and age with purpose. Now, today's guest is Amanda, an integrative health practitioner, founder of Barefoot Health, and creator of the Ask Amanda app. So Amanda works with women experiencing chronic overwhelm, mental fatigue, sensory stress, and the feeling that something is wrong, even when they're being told everything is normal. So today, we're discussing root cause healing, nervous system health, motherhood, medical freedom, informed consent, which is important, and what it means to truly listen to the body's signals. So let's welcome Amanda here. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
One thing I love to do is always introduce my guest, and we want to hear the story behind the expert, right? So why don't you start by giving us your story? Where'd you come from? How did it all start here as an integrative health practitioner?
Yes. In my 20s, I started nursing school. My niece, when I was young, was very sick. She was very ill, had bone marrow transplants, and we had gone through radiation and chemo. And, during that time, I think it really left an imprint on my soul because these people in these white coats were supposed to be the authority figure. They were supposed to be the ones with the answers. And it was always heavy on my heart that after she passed away, that they didn't have the answers. They didn't understand what the body was doing. They didn't, I was very young. And then in my early 20s, I started nursing school thinking that was going to be the answer. I had a really hard time with the dismissal of just the autonomy, the agency, and just the fact that they looked at it like it was a job. And so, fast forward a year, 2 years, I dropped out of nursing school. I went back to school for my teaching degree, started in my early 30s teaching, started my master's in curriculum and instruction, and then graduated. And then, 2 years later, we had a lot of problems with vaccinations. I was a mom when I was 18. I became a mom at a really young age. And I remember sitting in the doctor's office and just questioning and just saying, like, are all those vaccinations really necessary? Are they really promoting health? My daughter had chronic ear infections as a young child. And so that was a big deal for me. That was a huge pivotal point of just like recognizing that there was a problem in the institution and the system. And
This is when you were young. This is when you were 18. So you already had questions even when that young. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
But as a mother, as a single mother, I had a really hard time asking questions because I was always dismissed. And it always came back with friction, right? It always came back with, I'm the authority. I know better than you do. There is no autonomy. And that was a huge, it was really difficult for me. I always spaced out vaccinations. But when I had my third child, my sister was having problems with my nephew, and my nephew had severe eczema, and he was fully vaccinated, and it was horrible. And my son started having problems with eczema, and I remember him going up the stairs, and it was on the back of his legs, and just looking at him like, that's so sad. Like, it didn't make sense to me that the doctors didn't have any answers. Like, yeah, you can treat it with a steroid or you can treat it with a topical ointment, but there's really no conclusive evidence of where it's coming from. We don't really know. And just that dismissal over those first 8 months of his life really sent me into overdrive. What's going on? Why is this happening? I had my daughter when my son was 10 months old, and I had taken her in, and I told them I didn't want to vaccinate either one of them. And it was a well visit. What do they do with well visits? They bring you in and they vaccinate. That's the whole point. Sick visit, we like to call it, right?
Right.
So they came in and I said, I just want to space them out. I'm just going to do one at a time. And they came in with my daughter's 3-month vaccinations. She was born when my son was 10 months. This was a little after a year. And I had waited. I didn't vaccinate her at all and up until that point. Well, they had come in with 2 vaccines. One was whatever it was at her 3-month vaccination, and they came in with an adjuvant, fluoride, right? And I was like, well, what's that pink one? And they said, oh, that's fluoride. It's an adjuvant. It'll help absorb the vaccination. I was like, we're not doing that. I wasn't as knowledgeable as I am now about the ingredients and the effects and the toxicity overload that happens with vaccinations. But I knew that fluoride was a neurotoxin. Like I was absolutely confident that was hard stop. Like that was not doing
poison
that.
Right away.
Yeah, it was scary. It's scary that they do that, and almost under the guise of helping, right? Under the guise of promoting health. So I was like, no, we don't want that. And I remember leaving that day and thinking, I don't care what happens. I'm not going to take my child back to somebody that is trying to harm them. And so I just dug into, this was after my master's. I dug into herbalism. I dug into homeopathy, really tried to understand what that was like what that meant for me to take control over our health. And then, fast forward 7 years and I get into the IHP program, and Dr. Stephen Cabral is like,
that means Integrative Health Practitioner program.
Integrative Health Practitioner. Yeah.
For our audience.
Yeah. Dr. Stephen Cabral was one of my greatest mentors. He's amazing. His program blew my mind. It blew the lid off of everything that I thought. Like I knew a lot of it, but it was so organized and so structured that it changed my life. It opened up opportunities. It helped me understand epigenetics. It helped me understand toxicity overload and the effects of trauma on the body. And I had read, before that, I was already watching like Barbara O'Neill and following Dr. Ben Lynch and just a lot of different people in the holistic community that I was listening to already that were
was helping you. Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Dr.
And then
Lee Merritt.
I know my practice is Ayurveda, so I know he's knowledgeable in Ayurveda as well.
Yep.
So I can relate with him. I see what he does, and the integrations are awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he was actually trained in India. So there's a lot of background there that he really dove into when he was diagnosed with Addison's disease. And so that was very inspiring, just taking back agency of your body and understanding that you have control and you don't have to be under some authority figure to make educated decisions about your body. So learning about parasites and mold and heavy metal toxicity and how that affects the brain and the gut, and that connection, right, between the brain and the gut and how foundational that is, completely changed my practice. Because it's not just that, it's also trauma, right? The body keeps the score. I don't know if you've ever read that book. He worked with retired soldiers and did EMDR on retired soldiers who were suffering from PTSD. And it comes out just like talking about how that when somebody experiences that level of trauma, they keep it and they store it in their bodies. So that was huge for me, understanding that and really diving into like somatic therapy, Peter Levine, Gabor, and all of those guys, like just understanding how our bodies are so different. We're all bio individuals, our bodies function differently and they hold on to trauma differently, where you may not hold on to it. My body will, and it'll store it in certain organs, and I know Ayurveda acknowledges that, and so does Chinese medicine, and that's
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
that's why I love all those
Yeah.
integrations. I know I
Yeah.
read one of his books. I did. It was something the rain effect or something. Rain rain barrel effect.
Yes.
That's one of his
Yeah.
books, and he does talk about. That's why I know a little bit about that. He knows Ayurveda, and then he uses other integrations, which we all
Yeah.
should be doing, and that's why I love.
That's
I'm not. I don't want to be a jack of all trades. That's why I like to collaborate with, health coaches like yourself, so that people could align with whoever they feel they need to follow. Right. So that's
mhm.
what I'm doing myself, and we'll talk about your app and my app too. What we're building, I think is going to help a lot of people get away from the confusion because it's frustrating to
Mhm.
be told that something's normal, like you said,
Yep.
and we know it's not normal. Yes, it's common, whatever. It's some other rashes in kids. Like, why do they have these rashes? Or when these babies, oh, it's normal. No, no,
Yeah.
no. I want to know why, and they would never tell you. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome that we are get coming back to you mentioned homeopathy. That was normal, right? Back in
Yeah.
the day before
So
allopathic.
that was a huge pivotal time. And we know this, right? Just based on looking back, and one of my homeopathy courses was a history of homeopathy. And in the early 1900s, during the Flexner report, right, when they
Yes.
decided that they were going to take homeopathy and herbalism completely out of the curriculums, or else the schools wouldn't receive a tuition money, or they wouldn't
Funding.
receive grants or whatever. That knowing and understanding that is so foundational in health. Just understanding how you can take back control, because when they don't want you to know something, that's the exact information that you should be diving into. That's the information that we should try to understand.
That's like a red flag right there.
Yeah,
Aha.
that's right.
So you work a lot with women, and that's why
I
I wanted to bring
do.
you in because 70% of my audience, they're women over 40. That's
Yeah.
why it was great to bring you on because you work with women. So what lessons throughout your journey, because I know you mentioned your children, you mentioned the vaccinations that woke you up, but what lessons in your journey, help you guide women? Because there's a lot we hear. I mean, just mention it like Hashimoto's, leaky gut, a lot of
Yeah.
hormonal issues with women. I don't want to say more than men because maybe men don't really report their issues. Men are more like, I'm strong and they
Yeah.
don't say the truth, but women are outspoken and we have a lot of issues with hormones. So what did your journey look like?
So, something that I really try to dive into is understanding, first of all, the parasites, heavy metals, and mold. Those are very important, but also trauma, right? Because a lot of times as women, we tend to look past it. I think as people, I can't just say women, but people, we tend to look past things that have affected us and try to just kind of stuff it, and we just keep going.
Yes.
But those heavy metal toxicity showing up as, as tremors, tingling, irritability out of nowhere, the weight gain that we are struggling with. I always try to push back on, this is just normal, this is just age, because that's not the case. We should be aging gracefully. Understanding that mercury, lead, arsenic, aluminum, how they affect our body and how they are stored in our cells, and really prevent us from having reaching optimal health. So of course, the if we're toxic, we're going to be exhausted. Mold toxicity is very overlooked, and it can be anywhere. It can be anywhere in your home. You can be in the middle of a sentence looking for a word. You could rage out of nowhere. Always feeling sick, and it could just be water damage in your home that you're not aware of. It could be your washing machine that has never been properly washed. The mold on the inside, the black mold on the inside of your toothbrush. Little things that most people don't think of that could be contaminating your body. And mold, of course, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and that's a huge problem, and largely underdiagnosed. And then parasites, cringy, but I have a really hard time with the way that influencers feed off of fear with parasites. I I think that it is very important. It's very important to address it. The water contamination, the food, sushi, all those things show up with grinding your teeth, mood swings, rage, with no real trigger, waking up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. These are huge problems that a lot of times go unnoticed.
I think it's
So,
gotten higher now too because we're experiencing more heavy metals and other metals that it's a
yeah,
different topic, but I have to mention it, the synthetic biology that's occurring now, more room for parasites to overload in your
that's right.
body. And even women this is why I tell people, be careful who you're following because
Yeah.
there's influencers out there telling you, do my this, do my program. My protocol is the best. Wait, hold on. Did you know
Mhm.
this girl's also not she's also not metabolically flexible? Just
Yeah,
because someone looks fit, it doesn't mean they are in balance metabolically. And they
that's
have,
right.
I know I worked with them personally, and it was recently at a luxury club. I won't mention where I was at or how many of the trainers were women, but they all had huge issues, fit
Yeah.
as you can see a person, yet a lot of breakdowns, a lot of issues,
Yeah.
mental fog, mental fatigue, even like you say, like trauma that's coming out, emotional
Yeah.
traumas. It's like, what's going on? Very easily exposed to that stuff. And like you said, it is the toxins, it's the combination, right? The heavy
Yeah.
metals, the
But
parasites.
you have
And
to
now we
be,
have a different animal.
I think so many times as I think it's easy to get in this trap too, right? As influencers, because we're like, we have products and you should try them. But this is really what the Integrative Health Practitioners program did for me. This is how it changed my life. It gave me a strategy to work with people, it organized my clinical practice so that I could work with people in a way that actually checked boxes and wasn't just here, let me sell you a product or a supplement that's going to heal you, like the allopathic medicine mentality of here's a pill, be healed type of thing. And that's just palliating symptoms, isn't receiving, like, you don't get healing by pushing down symptoms, by subduing or by suppressing symptoms. That's not how you heal your body. And understanding that root cause healing really is from the inside. And even with homeopathy and herbalism, like, you don't want to use these modalities as or Ayurveda, you don't want to use these modalities as a
A crutch.
yeah, or like to palliate, we don't
Right.
want to continue to suppress. Like, that's what makes us different. That's what sets us apart from allopathic medicine is we have the desire to really understand the body and your bio individuality, not to make you fit in a box, not to make you like everybody else, not to make it easy, right? Right? Healing isn't easy. It's hard and it takes a lot of work
And time.
and time. Yes, friend. And diligence. Like, if you're not willing to put in the work, you're only going to be either pushing the dis-ease further into the tissue, or you're just not going to heal completely. So that's my biggest thing, is that I don't want to come in as a coach and be like, okay, take this and this and this. You have your five core supplements. Those are ones that, because of our soil depletion and our food and
Now we
water,
must need
and
it. Now we need that support, correct?
yeah, but above and beyond that, you shouldn't be taking zeolites for the rest of your life. You
By the way,
shouldn't
I
be
have some
on,
research on the zeolites. We'll talk about it later, but yeah, I know.
yeah, but you shouldn't be on a supplement like, there shouldn't be ashwagandha. You shouldn't be taking ashwagandha more than 3 months at a time. Like, simple things that you need to be aware of. Like, you should be taking those supplements as supplemental, not as my body needs this, because then your body becomes, it adjusts to it. And then it's just like it needs it all the time. We don't want that. We want your body to be functioning optimally on its own without a bunch of supplements.
Yeah, I'm glad you
So,
brought this up because we are falling as far as a community, the
mhm,
holistic health coaches, and that's one thing I wanted to mention. And coaches, if you are listening in, we are falling in the trap of this reductionist system, which allopathic follows. All of a sudden, we're seeing too many of us going in that route to where now it's all about you have this, take this, you have this, take this,
Yep.
you have no, hold on, stop, please. Let's go back.
Mhm.
Let's draw the line and say, hey, we're not going to cross that. We're not going to follow the.
That's right.
And yes, I really truly believe big pharma is all about that, kind of
Yeah.
like bamboozling us to say, hey, these guys, let them talk. We're going to get them to start selling all these supplements that we own, by the way,
Right.
and
Just like
here we go.
ivermectin and fenbendazole, right? Like this
Exactly.
is it. This is important. Like as practitioners, it's okay. Like if you want to take that route, but understanding polysorbate 80, understanding that these people are owned
Trojan
by
horse.
Like that these products are owned by big pharma. Like that's important for you. Are you going to stand apart from that, or are you just going to go with whatever wherever the wind takes you?
Yes, and that's why, yeah, we need to awaken
Yeah,
a lot of the practitioners. And yes, some of them are actually influencers, not really practitioners. They're not really working with
that's
clients.
right.
I get it. They're working on product. They want to make money, sales.
Mhm.
So they're not focused on the actual individual that they're not even seeing individuals. But I'm
Which
talking
is
to the
why,
holistic
like you said,
practitioners.
it's important that you know who you follow. Like
Exactly.
what are they doing to create an atmosphere for their clients, or are they seeing clients? You know, what are they doing to promote health? What are they doing to put the healing back in the person's hands, as opposed to here, like I can be your medicine man, or I can be your pharmaceutical, or your pharma guy, you know, like, but put the power back in the people's hands so that
Yes.
they can feel like they have control over their body. So yeah.
That's exactly correct. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because that is an issue we're having,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping that we could switch that up and start focusing on
Yeah.
really, like you said, making the individual the CEO of their own health, right?
Yeah, that's
Basically,
right.
we're not looking to have because that's what allopathic wants. They want
That's right.
permanent customers for life, and if we're
And I don't
thinking
want
that
that.
way, we're
I
not
don't want that.
right. I don't want that. If we're thinking that way, then we're not in the right
Nope.
what do you call it industry, which is
Yeah,
holistic
that's
health and
right.
wellness. We're not
Mhm.
in the right. We're educators, really
Yep.
more than
That's right.
So hopefully people start getting it, and I think I'm just gonna keep bugging a lot of health practitioners out there, and
Yeah.
if they hate me, oh well. But I'm gonna keep saying, hey guys, we're falling into the same trap.
That's
Stop
right.
it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now with women, let me switch it up with your specialty, or one of your specialties is dealing with nervous system burnout, right? In
Yeah.
women, there's a lot of
Yeah.
that. So can you touch on that?
So I actually have struggled with just being in a perpetual state of fight or flight up until about 2024. And I know what brought me out of it was learning to breathe, right? Sleep, getting in sun first thing in the morning, putting my feet in the dirt, like that was huge just to understand my humanity. Like I feel like we're always, and this has been one of my biggest struggles with social media, because we're always in front of our phones. And so for the past probably 6 months, I've really like pulled back, you know, after Charlie was killed. I really wanted to
When you say
understand.
Charlie, is Charlie Kirk, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just really wanted to understand my community better. I
Yes.
wanted to be a part of my community more. I wanted to serve the people that were in front of me more than the people that were online that didn't really, I didn't, you know, I connected to a lot of them. But I think for a lot of people on social media, it's not the same as it is for me. You know, I want to build relationships. I just have such a heart to just collaborate and to work with people that I'm always asking and for opinions and talking to people and challenging myself and challenging others. But people don't like that. You know, people are on social media to really, it's like a quick fix. So a lot of me regulating my own nervous system was getting away from that, getting away from that, just like a reliancy, that dependency on that quick fix, and really understanding how to regulate my breathing, to regulate my mind, to regulate my body. I've had anxiety since my niece died. I've struggled with it, and I still struggle with anxiety, but I think that having that clear, what's the first thing that I look at? Magnesium, right? Like the first thing that I think about is, am I taking all my supplements? First of all, am I getting outside? Am I getting sunlight first thing in the morning? Am I sun gazing at night? Am I putting my feet in the dirt? Am I breathing correctly? Am I eating densely nourishing foods, or am I just feeding my body with processed foods? Obviously, food hasn't been as big of a struggle for me as worry, stress. My after COVID, we've been just traveling a lot. And it's been really hard to just, in my early 40s, just to try to not be so hard on myself for having mood swings, and it is hard. It is difficult, because when you get overwhelmed, you have to know how to bring yourself down. You have to understand that music, that what are those things that you can do that will help your body relax, that will help you calm down and regulate. I don't think enough people teach just nervous system regulation. My husband plays the guitar for me, and that's huge. It's been life-changing, because music, right? Music feeds your soul.
Yes.
And so when I'm overwhelmed, he'll literally pick up his guitar and he just plays his guitar, and it's just like, okay, I'm okay. I'm safe in my own body. I'm here and I'm present, and I don't have to be fearful of the future. Which is anxiety, right? Is just fearful of the future. But learning those simple things. Also, though, my minerals need to be balanced. That was something that I learned from Dr. Cabral, that I didn't realize the impact of magnesium. That the impact of magnesium on my nervous system, electrolytes, hydration. I used to drink plain water, just water, now full stop. Salt water, like just a little bit of salt, just until, and it's great. Like, it's helped me so much just to continue to remind myself that these are the healthy habits that are going to literally shift my body from fight or flight to thriving.
Yeah, I
So,
think that when people start understanding that, we're electromagnetic beings, the
right.
nervous system needs the salts, the
That's right.
electrolytes, the
Yes.
water to function. And if we're dehydrated and lacking those minerals, like
Yep.
especially magnesium,
All the
then
time.
we're
You're
wondering
always
what's
like,
going on. Right
yep.
away, people, I'm sorry, but right away, especially women over 40, oh,
Yep.
it's just my perimenopause, and that's just
Yep.
the way it's going to
For
go.
sure.
And then wait till I get menopause, it's going to be even worse. So they're already setting themselves up for
That's
failure in
right.
the nervous system.
Right.
It's
It's like that proverb, so a man thinks, so is he. Like, so whatever you meditate on, whatever we meditate on, that we're just bringing that into fruition,
mhm.
because we are electromagnetic beings, and it's constantly running through us. It's running through our nervous system, those thoughts and those intentions. So yeah, but also offering yourself grace, because I think I didn't understand how much my body would change, especially these couple of years, just understanding that I need more support. I need more, not in the sense of people, but like my body needs more support than it used to. I had babies for 15 years. So after that, I was like, okay, now I can like focus on me. And then, 5 years later, I go through hormonal changes that I'm trying
Right.
to understand. But also, I feel like when you get into your 40s, you really start digging into trauma. I feel like I have, my sister is there. She's like right around the corner. I feel like you start really questioning, where's the root of that? Like, did somebody tell me that? And now I feel like I have to believe that. Did somebody tell me that menopause or that perimenopause, or did somebody tell me that? And did I hold on to that and like store it in my subconscious mind, and now it's just sitting there, waiting like it's like festering, and like I'm believing it, because not everything that people say is true, and not everything is meant for you to absorb. So really dealing with that, I've really gone through, the past 3 to 4 years. I've really dove deep into my childhood, things that have happened in my teenage years that I didn't understand. And then I started to like open my mind to, okay, so that's where that's coming from. So I don't know if you've ever heard of German medicine, but with German medicine, it's a biological process, right? And so when that biological process is incomplete and there's no acceptance, we store it. And then in our brain, there was a doctor that came forward and said I believe he was a brain surgeon. And he was seeing how his patients had connections to their prostate cancer. And it was a specific part of the brain that was being affected by their cancer. And he put two and two together and was like, okay, well, here's the process that has to actually take place in order for you to not hold on to that and store it in your body. Which homeopathy is similar to. If you look at any practice, it really is a matter of how are you going to store that, and where are you going to store that, and what bodily organ is it going to be stored in. And it's so intriguing to think about health like that when you come at it from a different perspective, or the perspective of where is it coming from? Right? Where did this pain come from? Where did it originate? When's the first time I felt it? What abandonment or what neglect or what abuse or what, maybe it was something that I did. Maybe it's something that not something somebody else did to me. But when did that biological process when was it not completed? When was there, I didn't accept that, I wasn't okay with that. So I just stuffed it in the back of my subconscious mind. And that's been huge too, because it helps so many people understand that you're not crazy. You're not
Right.
crazy for it affecting you in your liver. You're not crazy for storing all of that anger in your liver. Maybe you have a sluggish liver. Maybe you need to do a liver detox. Maybe you need to actually go back in time to the time that you struggled with something and just say, okay, I'm okay with that. I accept that now. That has been huge in my journey, just understanding that allopathic medicine, even holistic practitioners, we don't have all the answers. It really is a journey, and it really is about acceptance. This is who you are, and it's okay for you to be different. It's okay for you to function bio-individually. It's okay for your body to be different than mine. Like you may store something completely different than I do, and I need to focus on you, not bringing my own opinions or my own preconceived notions into your healing, because you're not the same as me. So yeah,
Exactly.
but a
Yeah.
lot of that has just been letting that go, letting that that pressure of you're different or you're unique or your body it's not gonna heal the way that mine does. Letting that go. I'm not like everybody else, and the person listening to this podcast isn't like me, and that's okay. So
That's why
yeah.
it's very important for health practitioners to, ask thought-provoking questions to the individual, because the individual has the answers inside. I haven't figured it out. One thing I've seen more, yes, it is true. Women do hold more emotional, I'm going to call them emotional toxins, right, in the body.
Mhm.
And it could be emotional toxins in the fascia. There's a lot with the gut.
That's
I know you
right.
mentioned the liver, but a lot of them hold so much in the gut. And you're
Yep.
wondering, why do I have ulcers?
Yes, stomach. Yes.
You
Yep.
know, and you go to the doctor, of course, they're not going to figure it out either. They're just going to say, oh, you have a lot of acid, or, let's reduce it. Here you go.
Yeah.
Well, hold on here. No one's telling me about. And then
Uh,
they figure it out. Oh my God, I've been holding on to so much childhood trauma or
yep.
even generational,
Even
parent.
generational, right? But not
Yeah.
everything is genetic. Like
Right.
recognizing that your autoimmune disorder, I am a firm believer that we're all bio-individual and most things aren't genetic. Most things aren't genetic. And if they are, you have the ability
Right.
to turn those genes off.
Epigenetic.
Either yeah, like you're capable of it, but you have to take the power back in your own hands and be in control of your own
Yes.
journey.
Break
So
the
yeah.
chains, right? Break those
Yeah,
chains.
that's right. That's right.
You could do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about what you're doing for women right now, in particular with your system. There is something you're introducing, and it's your app, right?
So
Ask
yeah.
Ask Amanda app.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what
what
it's
it's
called? I
called.
remember it. I remember it.
Yeah.
Tell us
So
about that.
my website is barefoot health. And then the app that we have created is called Ask Amanda. And really it's an educational app. This is my heart wrapped into one app. We have a label lens that you can take a picture of anything, any food or supplement, and it'll tell you what are the problems, what are the potential ingredients that could wreak havoc on your gut or could, cause endocrine disruptors. Like it'll tell you all of that.
Is just take a picture of the
Yeah.
barcode,
Well, you don't have to take a picture of the barcode. You could
just the
just
food itself.
yeah,
That's
you could
better.
just take a picture of the food
That's better.
and then the nutritional label, and it'll give you a rundown of like what artificials, citric acid, why would citric acid be a problem? My whole point of this app was to educate people. My heart behind this app was to help bring people knowledge, right? Because I truly believe that our greatest weapon right now is knowledge, but it's using it in a way that puts the power back in our hands.
Back into us, the consumer.
Yeah. So it really is an educational app. I also have a functional lens that you can take a picture of a rash or a sty or anything like that, and it'll give you like a basic rundown of how to treat it, or if you need to go to the doctor, or maybe you need to, I really waver on the cautious side with that. We don't do doctors. Like I haven't been to the doctor, we don't do them at all. And that works for us. It doesn't work for everybody. And if you're not fully confident in your remedies, then I like to just say, go see somebody,
Go see your
go.
doctor, and then if you don't like your doctor,
That's right.
start interviewing another few doctors, and then find the
Yeah.
right team. That's I do tell them. You know what? Yeah, if your doctor's not open to being part of your team and being
Yeah.
the God complex person,
Right.
but being part of your team to help you thrive, then you switch over to another doctor that
Move
will
on.
move
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
So this is not just for adults. Is it so parents, for example, they could use that
Yeah.
app for the kids too. You
It
mentioned
is. It could
rashes.
be, yeah, it could
Okay.
be for anybody. And then on my hamburger side, I have, on my slide bar, I have recipes and remedies, and then I have a homeopathic repertory that has 60 remedies in it that are just the ones that you should know. And then I have your herbal remedies. And then I use a lot of like natural remedies. I use baking soda a lot. I use vinegar all the time. These are things that are easy and they're cheap, but keep my family healthy. So I like to be like, hey, try this. If it doesn't work, go see somebody. And on the app, it'll ask more questions. Like what are you thinking, or what are you leaning towards? Yeah, it's something that it's an app that I wish I would have had 10 years ago. So,
So you created something that pretty much an educational space that people could trust
yeah.
outside of the mainstream, so that there is no, like nowadays you could go to ChatGPT and it'll tell you, oh, be careful with that because that's very
Yes.
controversial. And,
Hmm.
there's no proven science in that, yada, 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 right? Very well trained in
Yeah.
blocking real truth coming out.
Hmm.
This helps. And that's why I like when people they create their own apps, because now you have more transparency and nobody could
That's
tell
right.
you can't use those words, or say this. So it becomes a very well trusted app, if you ask me.
Yeah.
What has the
So
response been since the launch? Or it
people love
launched
it.
already, right?
Everybody that has used the label lens loves it. I think the label lens is, I tried an app. I got an email and tried an app and then ended up being charged for it. And I was like so disappointed in the fact that it was not what I expected. It was not good. It didn't give me any kind of educational value. And I'm the type of person that I want to know why. Like if you tell me that something isn't going to work or that something's bad for me, I want to know why. And so my heart behind the label lens really was to provide people with the whys, and even going beyond that, the functional lens of like and I have a vaccine guide on there also, and the vaccine guide
Beautiful.
really does give you a breakdown of the ingredients.
That's huge. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
glad you
it's
brought that
it
up.
is
That's
it's massive, and it's so simple. You at the top you have your ingredients, your aborted fetal cell lines that are in each vaccination. You also have your then and now. And if anybody has made that comparison to the 80s to 2026, it is crazy what we're
I'm an 80s
injecting.
kid, so I know how crazy it was. I think I took 13 vaccines when I was a kid.
Stop. And then what is it now? It's like it's something crazy. I
Oh,
just
and I fought with my kids too. We delayed everything. We
yeah.
would get calls from the school your kids are not vaccinated. Oh, we fought, fought,
Which
fought.
is so untrue.
It was
It's so
crazy.
untrue. Like, it's so ridiculous that they tell you that you cannot go to public school if you're not vaccinated. That is a lie.
It's so
And I also have what states accept what types of exemptions. And that's huge. Just a vaccine guide that helps people really make educated decisions on, like, you go to the doctor and you're freaking out and you're like, okay, I don't want this vaccination because, and then you can go on there and you can check what are the reasons. What are the reasons why you don't want that vaccination? Because it contains, formaldehyde, because it contains
monkey brains.
neomycin. I'm like, yeah. But all of this stuff, like it's crazy what they put in those vaccinations. There's nothing nourishing.
Let's bring it up for parents that are still on the fence, or they're like, oh, you guys are kind of exaggerating too much on vaccines. There's still a
Yeah.
lot of those, and it's okay. It's good to question things, right?
Yeah.
So how are you dealing with those parents who are still like, I'm not sure if it's really that bad, or is it what's you know, how can we put it to, well, your app's probably going to solve that.
Yeah.
How do you encourage parents to evaluate the risks and the benefits of, if you're breaking it down of
Yeah.
each vaccine?
So you take what you can and leave the rest. I always say, like, if you don't connect with it, it's okay. If it's not something that is like a hard stop for you, like I don't want to inject fetal cells into my baby. We've seen this gender confusion thing happening, and for a long time in the vaccine community, in the medical freedom community, we've made the connection that maybe there's something to do with that. The water, the birth control, the hormones that they're putting in our water supply. Colorado proved, when was that? 2016, that it was affecting people. Like,
That's 26, that's 10 years ago.
yeah, just to think that is affecting people, but injecting a child with the opposite sex isn't going to affect them. It's crazy to me. It's crazy but take what you can and leave the rest, learn, educate yourself, but don't make a decision based on what the people in the white coats tell you. Just because they say you can't come back to the office doesn't mean that you're never going to find a doctor. It just means
No,
that
it
you need to
doesn't.
find the doctor that's right for you. So, yeah.
Right. And how involved are you with the vaccines? For example, the Barefoot Truther,
Yeah.
is that linked to the vaccines?
So, vaccinations is where my fight really started. So, in 2019, my husband and I helped start a medical freedom group in Colorado, 2018. And that was pivotal for us because we were homeschooling. We didn't want our kids to be vaccinated. I had seen the effects of vaccinations with my own kids, all of my own kids. I never really put the two and two together. I never really linked it. Doctors always dismissed it. No, that's no big deal. And then, I just really felt like I needed to get into the fight. So vaccines are they're a huge part of what I believe our toxicity overload comes from. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people diminish how it affects our
Mhm.
bodies. I when I was a kid, I had chronic ear infections, and they were so bad that I remember screaming, just with painful ear infections. And I didn't realize that that was an adverse effect until I had looked at the insert. So vaccines are a huge part of my journey of understanding how all of these environmental toxins really do cause our bodies to just be sluggish and overloaded, and this is a huge part of the heavy metal toxicity, right? Like this is where that heavy metal toxicity comes into play. And peanut allergies, like my sister and I have talked about peanut allergies and how that understanding that they're like injecting kids with monkey kidney cells and all of this different stuff. And it's just like, this is the reason why our kids can't even be around things, be around peanuts, because they're going to have a serious adverse or a reaction because of the fact that
there's a book. I just read the summary, but Matt from Cultivate Elevate told me about it.
yeah,
I just
he's
read the
great.
summary, and
Yeah,
there's a link with the peanuts and
that's
the
right.
allergy because
Yeah.
of the vaccines.
Yep. Yeah.
Crazy.
And actually, Matt is the first person that I heard that from. And I thank God every day that I was not so blind and arrogant to not listen to people like him. Suzanne Humphreys, her lectures
Yes.
were some of the first lectures that I ever heard on breastfeeding and how that actually will protect your child. It's actually meant to protect our
They
babies.
took that away from women for so
Yeah.
many years.
Yeah. So yeah, vaccines are a huge part of just what I try to help people understand where the beginning of toxicity overload came from, because it's from infancy a lot of times that we're injected with these vaccinations, and our parents just don't know. So yeah,
Even us as adults,
that's
you're in your
right.
40s or 50s, you have some issues, and it could really be linked to vaccines. For
Right.
example, like the traumas, like stuttering,
Yeah.
maybe even
Tics,
ADHD.
ADHD, OCD, any neurodivergence, right? I was recently diagnosed with ADHD just because I was like, is this even a thing or am I just crazy? And it really is pivotal to understand though that this is part of our nervous system dysregulation
Hmm.
comes from that neurodivergence and that overload, that even though we can deal with it, like I've been working on this, my health, for 10 years, and I'm just now to the point where I'm like coming full circle. It's just such a journey to understand where it all comes from and it originates.
Yes,
It's
it
not
is.
something that comes fast.
Right, it is. And that's where people
Mhm.
lose it. They get impatient. Everyone wants something quick and
And
fast.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how we were programmed. And we need to
Hmm.
snap out of that and go back to the basics of, okay, it's going to take time, but I'm going to do it the right way.
That's
So
right.
that's why it's super important to work on that. Well, great. A lot of great information. Let me switch it over to, I'm going to ask you some quick rapid fire questions that I like to ask so we get to know you a little bit more. And then we'll ask where to find you. But let me ask you the first one. What do you like best, morning coffee or tea or
So
none?
it depends, it depends. I've gone through stages where coffee, having a sluggish liver, I've gotten off coffee for years and drank tea. And I enjoy coffee. I really do, but I try not to drink it very often because I do have liver problems. I do have a sluggish liver, so I'm constantly trying to just,
Support it the best you can. Yeah,
yeah,
obviously.
support it the best I can.
Jeez.
Yeah.
How about sunrise or sunset? What's your favorite?
Probably sunset. Yeah. The stargate or sun gazing, right? An hour after sunrise, an hour before sunset, like that's really important. Yeah, but I'm not really much of a morning person. I don't like mornings,
It's difficult. I I've been working on it right now because I am one of those people that say I'm not a morning person,
but
but
you want to
I've
be.
been wanting to do it, and been working. It's been a struggle, but I get up
Yeah.
and I'm out there in the sun because I've been a
So good.
sunset guy all my life. We're in
Yeah.
West Coast beach,
Hmm.
the sun goes
That's
down and
right.
love it. Sunrise, I'm not, it's like I have to look towards the mountains, so it's to me
Yeah.
it's like But, but the benefits with the circadian rhythm and alignment,
That's
I'm
right.
doing it because I want to get aligned and I could feel the difference. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely doing both. I love both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what's one non-negotiable wellness thing for you or habit? Non-negotiable.
Feet in the dirt. Like I'm, big on just walk. Just go outside and put your feet in the dirt because you get sun, like take your water and your electrolytes and go for a walk and just enjoy nature. Yeah, non-negotiable is to be in nature.
Feet in
Yeah.
the ground feels so amazing too.
Feet in the ground. That's right.
Feels so good. So I
Yeah.
go for walks and then I just purposely just take my shoes off
That's
right
right.
after that walk and it feels amazing.
That's
You know,
right. So good
feels
for you.
amazing. What about the most underrated health practice?
Um,
You mentioned one already.
did I? So I think the sun, it goes back to the sun. I think if we can just connect to our humanity, to our natural born rhythm, our and actually like get in the sun. I read a book probably 5 years ago that was written in the 80s that talked about UV rays and how we've been completely lied to
Oh yeah,
about how it
definitely.
affects our bodies. And it was foundational, I think, in my journey because it's like this, we need the sun so desperately. That's why you see such a high rate of depression, in Washington and in the Pacific Northwest, because the sun disappears, in the wintertime. So yeah, and I felt that, this year being in northern Idaho and not having this, like they were spraying the skies so heavy,
Oh,
that it was just like the sun was
everywhere.
non-existent.
Yeah.
Everywhere, yeah. But I feel like they do it really heavy over the waters. And we were close to a lake. And so that was, I felt like they were a lot worse. Maybe not though. I was just so desperate to get the sun in my face. And I just always felt like down. So I think the sun is definitely the most underrated, one of the most underrated, and electrolytes.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
hidden under the rug because it used to be the
Yeah.
norm, even in hospitals. So obviously, I think that's intentional. So
Yeah.
speaking of intentional, what does aging with intention mean to you?
I think making a conscious effort to not absorb. It's just aging, right? It's just what happens when you age. You just have dis-ease when you age. I think not holding on to that. For me, it has looked like prepping my own oils, prepping my own toothpaste, doing things on my own that are minimal, but keep my skin healthy and my body, functioning optimally so that I'm not out of breath at 10,000 feet. Because
Yeah,
it's rough up here.
that's Colorado. That's Denver area, right?
Yeah.
Mile high. And that is all that is intentional stuff. And most of it is free,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
right.
Most of
That's
it
right.
is
And it
free.
should be. It should be. Health shouldn't cost you. I think that that's my biggest annoyance with the health community is that we make
Biohacks?
people, yeah,
Yeah,
we make people believe that it's expensive, and health doesn't have to be expensive.
doesn't.
Aging doesn't have to be expensive. I don't need $50 on my face. I don't need to be putting serums on my face that are, you know, out the wazoo. I just need to make sure that my face is nourished, that my body is nourished. So, yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I would say.
great point. Now,
Yeah.
what's so all this talk about health and wellness? So a person listening is like, so what's one habit that you could help me with to start on the right path? How
So,
do they start? What would be probably a good 2 steps, 3 steps they could do?
so I would say start with the journal, right? Start with the journal.
Oh, okay.
Figure out what areas are the biggest need to be the biggest focus for you because everybody's different. Start with the journal. Wake up in the morning with the sun like we've been talking about, or at least around this time that the sun is coming up, wake up, get your body moving and get out in the sun. Make sure you're drinking a glass of water in the morning before you do anything. Drink your electrolytes, get your blood flowing, get your body moving, get your digestive system ready, priming your organs for the day. I think that that's really important. And then densely nourishing foods. And if you have tics, if you have autism, if you are neurodivergent in any capacity, make sure you're taking magnesium. So those would be my most foundational and my biggest wins, probably.
There you go. And they're simple steps. No,
Simple.
it's not
Yeah.
easy because you have to change. I know the habits, you have to break some bad habits, but
But you don't have to buy
the
anything.
right, but the
You
list
don't
is
have to
simple.
buy
You just said
anything.
it. You don't
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So it's it's going to take effort for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let me take you back. I like to ask this question, my legendary time machine question. If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and you saw her for a couple minutes, what would be one advice you would tell the young Amanda, 18-year-old, brand new baby?
I would say don't be afraid to stand up in the face of adversity and say, I'm following my intuition. And my intuition and my gut tell me that I need more time. Because I did have a baby at that point. And the white coats aren't the end all be all. They don't know your trauma, they don't know your past, they don't know about heavy metal toxicity, they don't know about environmental toxins, they're not focused on nutrition or sleep or posture or all of these things that are so foundational to our health. So step back and learn about what health really looks like and ask questions, ask questions. Yeah, because that's foundational. And if you can't ask questions, then if it's a system that cannot be questioned, then it's a system that you can't trust. So, yeah.
That'd be great advice for someone so young, even
Yeah.
for us. Come on.
Yeah.
If it's a system
Seriously.
you can't ask questions, don't fall for it. And yet people are still falling
Trust
for
it.
it. So it
Don't
goes
trust
for
it.
not just the young Amanda, but you know, women out there
All of
that
us.
are much older, men. A lot of us are very stubborn. Men are very stubborn, and it's just
Yeah.
hard to go through
Get
the
it through our
noggin there.
heads. Yeah,
Yeah. So one
for
thing that
sure.
really stands out about this conversation is that healing isn't always about doing more. You didn't
Yeah.
say more. You didn't. It was more about listening more closely to yourself. You mentioned journaling. That's amazing, right? And not many people have mentioned that, so that's great. Journaling. So this, reminds us that we're not perfect,
Yeah.
but we're also, if we are broken or a little bit off, we could manage because our bodies are very resilient. This is an invitation for people to become more curious. I guess we use the word thought-provoking questions. You need to ask those, and then that becomes more intentional instead of being reactive. It gives us more power, right?
Yeah, and that's what we want. It's just the power as practitioners. I feel like I just want to extend that to people. I want to extend encouragement. I want to be the backbone that tells you, yeah, they said that you can't, but yes, you can. They told you that it was just your body, but no, it's not. They told you your labs were normal, but did they check your minerals? Did they check your heavy metals? Did they test for parasites? I want to be the backbone to that. I want to be a supporter and somebody that comes alongside of you and says, you know what, I believe in you. And maybe it's deeper than what meets the surface, what meets the eye, and that's okay. Like, but it's your turn. It's your turn to figure that out. Not the
Yes.
doctors, not a reliancy, not a dependency on the white coats, but a true putting the power back in your hands. Yeah.
Awesome. Great
Yeah.
response. So, Amanda, where can people connect with you?
So on Instagram, the Barefoot Truther, I'm on there. I answer all my messages. So if anybody has questions, you can always find me there.
Yes.
Barefoot.health is my website. Ask Amanda is my app.
Is
And
that
they're
on
all
Apple and the Android as well?
so it's just on right now. I don't have like an actual physical app. We're working on that. But
Okay,
it's
good.
it, it's just an app on to pull up on your phone. Yeah,
Okay,
just
good.
like on Safari. Yeah. You can still put it like I'm able to tap it and add it to my home screen,
And it
but
adds a
I
little
probably
icon there. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I probably need to add directions and tell people how to do that to make it easily accessible because that is a possibility. But yeah, and all of those are really just meant to provide support for mamas, for women, for even for dads. I don't say that, but I'm really just want to be I really just want to be a willing vessel in what I know and what I understand about health to help people really get a grip on their own person. So, yeah.
And that's great. There's a lot of work, a lot of resources out there now that
Yeah.
you're setting up. Any more projects that we should be excited about?
We are working on a homeschool app to
Oh, that's a
help.
good one. Okay.
Barefoot Homeschool is what it will be called. Yeah, and it's just a curriculum like herbalism, homeopathy. We'll just teach those kinds of courses for kids. So that is exciting. That's probably not going to be until, August or September, but that's another fun thing that we can bring to people and offer people that's, from a different perspective. And I really feel like I don't know how you feel about AI. But we've used Claude to really build our businesses. And obviously, there's a huge like tug and pull there, right? With the data centers and what have you. But I really feel like it has opened the door for a lot of us who have had the heart to really bring people something that they don't have access to in a way that is our own vision, without putting it in a box. Pouring all of what I have into Claude, I really feel like it's given balance. It's offered balance with how much evil there is and how the intention really is the destruction perceived is the destruction of humanity. I feel like if the ones of us that are on the opposite side of that can come together and really fight back, I think that there's something to be said about that.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to be said about that.
Yes. And how I feel is, well, if you're using AI to support you, then it's great. It's bad when all of a sudden you are having AI control you.
Do everything. That's
AI is
right.
supposed to be to support you, not
That's
to
right.
control you. And people are going into AI
Yep.
asking questions. Well, how do I do this? Or what do I do?
Yep.
Hello, these are programs as well, and they're going to give you
Yep.
what their masters created. So you need to be able to have the right prompts for your AI and let it support you. So
Yep.
I think they've done a great job with that.
And honestly, we use Claude Code, and again, I'm so incredibly grateful. I don't even think that there are words to express. For so long, my husband and I have had these visions, right? The vaccine pocket guide, like we've had these visions to help people, and it has opened the door wide open to bringing people this information that's not censored. It's not
Exactly.
coming from Chat GPT, who was programmed by
They
Sam
censor a lot.
Altman or
They
whatever.
censor a lot. ChatGPT, I
Yeah.
do not want to work with. So
Or
that's why I
Claude.
asked you.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Good
Claude
for you.
is great though. And I remember when all that stuff came out about Claude and the government, and because they didn't sign their contract, they like banned them from of any government agency from using Claude. And then Claude came back and they were like, okay, like, but at least I don't know, not at least, I don't know. Say what you want. They should have never caved, but eventually they did, and so they have everything anyway. So it's just like at this point I just want to fight back
Yeah.
the best I can
Make them
and
work for
build a
us, not
community.
us work for them.
That's right. Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
Absolutely. That's our fight right there. No, no, no. We're
Yeah,
not going to be billions of people being enslaved by you. No, you're going to work
that's
for
right.
us the way it's always been,
That's right.
government or
Same
technocrats.
with
No,
AI.
we are the consumer.
That's
So we
right.
just need to come together and say, hey, all right, we'll just put our wallets away.
Yeah,
See how you're going to get your money.
that's right.
That's why we need to become smarter as a collective. And
Yeah,
that's what we need. That's why I teach people with the pineal gland. We need to
right.
decalcify your pineal gland, buddy.
That's right.
Come on, Bart. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's like one of the most important things, right? Just
Right?
opening up your third
We
eye
could do
and
that. That'd
making
be
sure that
great.
you're ready.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story, your perspective, your awesome work. I'm going to put all that stuff on the comments here and also on the screen. They're going to see your Instagram, and so they could go in there and start, playing with your new app. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
last
Thank you
any
so much, Art.
last tips you want to tell our audience before we go?
No, I'm so thankful for the opportunity to collaborate and to help people. My heart really is to provide people with some kind of support. So I'm glad we're in this fight together for sure.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
And then I will absolutely ask you if I could put you on my app. I don't know if you've seen, but my app is more, it's a community one where, yeah, I do have a support system. My tech came up with it, and it pretty much, since I'm Ayurveda, right? We do the little biotype dosha thing so they can at least start thinking like, oh, I'm this and that. It's kind of like a fun thing, right? The Ayurveda, the doshas. And then from there, you can start digging. And then I want the community part to where people start feeling free of asking questions. And then if I
Yeah.
have health practitioners in there, they could answer questions. Then I have links for, especially all the practitioners that I have on my podcast, they're going to be on there. So I'm still working on it. He's going to
Yeah.
put everyone in there so that people could just click. I feel aligned with Amanda. Boom, they click and it goes to you. I
Oh,
think
I love
that's
it.
the best collaboration project I could come up with, I
Yeah,
thought.
I love
And then we
it.
just connect
Yeah.
because you never know if I'm going to get deplatformed again from Instagram, which I did,
No.
2022,
Same. Yeah.
YouTube, everything's new for me.
Yeah.
YouTube
You
hasn't
got
worked.
this.
They still have me shadow banned, I guess. I don't know, but I'm still putting stuff in there. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever we could do. If we could just help one person. Oh, I saw your. Oh, okay, you did see it. I didn't know it was active. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Good thing to have you on, and you will be on my app because you said yeah. Okay, good. Okay, audience. Well, if you felt something that you're aligned with, then I'm going to have Amanda's information here so you could take a look at her app, the Instagram, her website with her programs. This is what we're all about. Okay, and remember that it's not about just aging, right? It's aging with intention. Okay, it's about creating a life of freedom, life of more clarity. That we need more clarity,
Yeah.
resilience. We need to know that. We need to accept that, and we're here with a purpose. So I guess go in, right? Like you said, if we go within, we're going to find our purpose, and we're going to experience a better life. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Amanda, once again. And I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. Everybody else, we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.